Hey everyone, Neil back once again with another review, and this time I'm going to be doing my spoiler review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So I was sick when I reviewed the film the first time about a week ago. I didn't want to make it too long, and I didn't spoil the ending or anything like that. I just wanted to get that review out there. But this time I will be doing spoilers. So, spoiler alert! Yes, you've been warned. Alright, now I will only be talking about the ending here in terms of the story, because I've already discussed the plot already in the previous review. I think everyone knows kind of what the movie's all about anyway, and it's, a time-traveling device, and they're fighting with this Nazi guy to, make sure he doesn't get it and go back in time and restart World War II. So, yeah, that's the main plot, basically. And it's also all about old Indy, and his goddaughter, Helena, as well. So, I wanted to address the character of Indiana Jones, though, first, and also, certainly I'm going to address some of the criticisms that the film has received so far. Some I agreed with, and some I didn't. So, Indiana Jones is definitely one of cinema's greatest characters of all time. I mean, sure, he's a lot like James Bond, but he's the whip-wielding, fedora-wearing American archaeologist. He's a professor of archaeology, too. And his attitude is always one that, he doesn't suffer fools lightly, right? He's always got a funny, sarcastic comment, but he's also always very keen to educate anyone on archaeology, which is the search for facts, for historical facts and things. So it's always a history lesson, with Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford in Dial of Destiny, man, he does another terrific job of portraying Indiana Jones in both 1944 and 1969. I certainly enjoyed the opening flashback sequence in World War II with young Indy and his archaeology buddy there. Indy looks very convincing for the most part early on in the film. Just a couple of reactions I thought looked kind of fake, but they're almost there. They've almost got it perfect. This CGI reface or de-aging, whatever you want to call it. They did a good job with that. So if you know about that, of course, already you know that they found half the piece of the device, which is the Dial of Destiny, and years later, we see Indiana Jones, and he's been through a lot. So he's lost his son Mutt, Henry Jones III, to the Vietnam War. And when he speaks about this scene later on in the movie, I feel like the heartbreak in Harrison Ford's voice, about Mutt's death is just so perfect, so really convincing. And unfortunately, Mutt's death, I believe anyway, also led to Indy and Marion's separation as well. So when he's woken up early in the film by the Beatles' magical mystery tour, he's very grumpy, but we discover he's grumpy for good reasons. It's not just because he's a surly old man who doesn't dig the new generation. He's got legitimate problems. Now, some critics are equating old Indy to old man Luke in The Last Jedi. They're upset that Disney has turned our beloved heroes into curmudgeons in their old age. But I kind of like that angle, though. It is more interesting than if Indiana's family was all hunky-dory in Dial of Destiny. I mean, if everybody was happy, it would be kind of like, great, it's more interesting. It's just kind of boring for things just to be okay, things to be good. But it also proves, it really, really proves that no matter how great a force for good you are, how triumphant you were, in your adventures long, long ago, you can still get emotionally rocked by unfortunate events, tragedies, and things like that. So, I really don't buy into the whole criticism, what have you done to my childhood favorites, that kind of criticism. Although I will say now, for other movies to continue that would seem kind of like a cliche, kind of like a ripoff of what they've done in this movie and also Last Jedi. Now, I thought that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was terrific in this movie, and some people hated her character, Helena Shaw, the goddaughter of Indiana Jones. and I just didn't quite get why people were annoyed by her. She could have been irritating. There was that potential where she was like, I'll show you, Indiana Jones." Like, there was a potential for her, to go off the deep end with that kind of a thing, in terms of the writers, writing her character. But it never quite gets there for me. Instead, I thought she was quite charming, quite frankly. I liked the fact that the script messed with the audience, making us think, oh, okay, she's the goddaughter, she's the ally, obviously, and then she's a traitor. Oh my God! Oh, she's a traitor. Just like what's her name in Last Crusade. Like, oh no, no, no. But no, she seemed like she was using him right at the start, but no, she kept switching sides, kind of like Mac in Crystal Skull, I guess. But I thought they worked this time around. I thought that was actually pretty cool. That we were never quite sure if we could trust Helena, but I thought that she did a great job with the role. I thought that the criticisms against the actress here are pretty unwarranted. She's been really great in other things too. I think more people need to see Fleabag maybe to appreciate her. But in any event, I thought she was cool, and she did, by the end wind up on Indy's side after all. She was in it for herself at first, of course, but she wound up being loyal to Indy in the end. The kid Teddy that they pick up, however, it didn't really do anything for me. I thought he was just, okay. It was a bit for him to, a bit ridiculous for him to kind of know how to fly planes. Although the actual pilot of that plane did wake up and wound up helping him out later, at least, and that's more believable. But I don't know. In Indiana Jones, it is fantasy. It is an unbelievable movie, but even that I thought was a bit of a stretch. But honestly, I didn't hate his character or anything. He just wasn't very special to me either. The actor did a fine job. Nothing against the actor here, but I just didn't care for him myself. Killing the big henchman, providing a way to escape was really his purpose in this film and everything. And he did fine. He just wasn't really up my alley. One criticism I will say is that, once again, as I said in my early review, I also didn't get why in the tombs with the toxic methane gas, why Indy was okay, but Helena wasn't able to breathe. Or she was choking and coughing, and he's like, "Don't breathe," and she's like, "Don't breathe. How am I supposed to do that?" And she's coughing, but did he hold his breath as soon as he got in the room? And he can't hold his breath that long, can he? I mean, again, it kind of goes beyond the point of suspending our disbelief, this sort of thing with an Indiana Jones movie, which is, again, action, adventure, fantasy, but some fantasies kind of go a little too far. It's like, well, you would think Indy would cough a little bit, like maybe Mangold, the director, just didn't want Indy to cough in this scene. I don't know. It just didn't quite add up for me. Mads Mikkelsen, I thought, was very good as this former Nazi scientist, Jürgen Voller, who is now working for NASA. And his desire, of course, was all to bring back the glory days of the Third Reich and all of that without Hitler, because he thinks Hitler was a dumbass. He was a fool. And he blames Hitler for losing the war. But, he still hates everybody. Everybody that's not, on his side anyway. Yeah, I liked his character. I thought, a lot of these movies, just like the James Bond movies, a lot of Indiana Jones movies are only as strong as their villains, it seems. And the Nazis are everybody's favorite villains in these movies. And I thought they did great, and I also liked the actor who played his main henchman, although he does kind of, come off as being somewhat menacing, although he's also very rash and stupid. So there's this one villain that comes across that way. There's also this deal with the CIA, and they're working with this woman who's undercover and everything, but they wind up killing her and all her people because, all the CIA agents, because they're bad guys. And we all knew that was going to happen, so pretty predictable. I also got to mention that Antonio Banderas was in this movie. He played another ally of Indiana Jones when they did the deep diving stuff with all the eels. They used eels instead of snakes this time. Originally I didn't spoil that in my previous review, but then I realized in hindsight, oh, he's actually right on the poster anyway, so... So Banderas is on the poster, so he's no spoiler. Everybody knew he was in the movie, I guess, but I didn't know that. So, but we all know now. So he winds up taking a bullet for Indy. He dies. He gets shot by Voller. So yeah, that's a fitting end for him, I guess, because there's not going to be any more Indiana Jones movies anyway. So might as well kill off some good guys, as they normally do in these movies. Now, about the ending, where they go back in time, Voller doesn't take into account the continental drift. So they wind up going further back than they wanted, way further back, and they wind up in ancient, I believe it's Syracuse, Italy, and the bad guy's plane is shot down after Indy and Helena are able to jump off it. And then all the villains crash and they're all killed and they're all dead, and Archimedes is there. Archimedes, the guy who basically created this Dial of Destiny originally, he's there. This is his time period, and he's there to greet Indy and Helena. Indy wants to stay behind because he thinks there's nothing for him back in the present. Helena winds up knocking him out and taking him back to 1969, and Indiana wakes up disappointed. You should have left me back there, kind of thing. But then Marion walks in, played again by Karen Allen, and she looks fantastic. Karen Allen, she still looks great. She walks in the door, and it's a touching moment. I got a little teary-eyed, I got to admit. I got a little misty-eyed there. But I thought that was a fine way to end this movie. Very nice way to end the movie. And then there's a little bit there where he grabs his fedora from outside, and it irises out, to black, and I thought that was beautiful. Just a wonderful little, nice, pleasant way to end Indiana Jones. So I still stand by my review. That was a 7.5 out of 10. So yeah, clearly I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, although I do love the character, and I found this final Indy film to be a fine swan song for Indy. I thought the chase scenes and all the stunts and visual effects and sound effects, etc., they were all excellent, and we all expected them to be excellent. Especially the chase through Tangier. I really like that sequence. But there are also a couple of WTF moments, for me. But it was still satisfying, I think it's not doing great at the box office because it's not really connecting with a much younger audience, I think. I think my generation and above, Generation X or all the baby boomers or whoever are still out there watching movies, I think they're going to like this movie a lot. They're really going to like this movie. The older audiences are going to dig this movie. But the younger audiences, nah, it's not a hip, cool movie. It's old man Indiana Jones, and I don't like this character, and this could never happen. And yeah, I mean, there's a couple of points where I agree, I don't know about that scene or that scene, but overall, still enjoyed it. And I get that younger audiences may not quite get it, even if they have seen all the other Indy movies, I just think that this one may be aimed at older audiences, people that have been around since the 80s. Yeah, people that have been around since the VHS days, watching it at home, the original trilogy and all that. So it may depend on your age, and it may also depend on what mood you're in, It certainly doesn't deserve to bomb at the box office. It's not a life-changing movie either, though. I just say see it for yourself. Don't listen to any of these opinions. Quite frankly, don't even listen to my opinion if you don't want to. Just go to the movies if you want to see Indiana Jones 5. Just go. And, just never rely on Rotten Tomatoes or sites like that, because opinions can be, they can be too high, they can be too low. There's shills and there's trolls everywhere. It's all over the place. Opinions, especially audience scores, you just can't trust them. So in conclusion, it is beautiful, pure escapist entertainment. It's an action-adventure fantasy and a fine addition to the Indiana Jones saga. I'd put it somewhere in the middle of all 5 of them. I thought it was great, and just a wonderful farewell to this beloved George Lucas creation known as Indiana Jones, and his actor Harrison Ford, who is always the best part of any Indy movie. So, yeah. All right. Obviously, I liked it, and that's all for me, guys. Until next time, this is Neil. I will be reviewing Asteroid City soon. I saw it. I have no idea whether I loved it or not. I'm really on the fence on this one, so I hope you tune into that review because I'm kind of conflicted and I could use some feedback. In fact, comment in the comments below of this video and tell me what you thought of Dial of Destiny. If you hated it, let me know why. Don't just say it sucked. Don't just put 2 words, it sucked. Put your explanation, a sentence or 2. And if you loved it, same thing, tell me why. All right, guys, this is Neil, and thank you so much for checking out this review. And until next time, peace.